us to start?
Whenever you want.
Oh, yay! So I was driving down the street with William the other day, and out of the blue, he's like, and your friend Allison, who rode a shark. And I forgot about that one time. This was years ago.
Oh, wow.
You and Collie were heading to Bald Head, and he was going shark fishing.
Yes.
So I called you, and I'm talking. You're like, well, we're YouTubing how to, like, catch a shark or how to release the shark, and I have to sit on the shark's back.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That was so crazy. I mean, Matt had to go home for work, and so I was there, of course, the first time we ever caught a shark.
Right, of course.
On the shore, and I was like, but before we had, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I know we're probably not going to, but what do we do if we do? And
First of all, kudos to you for thinking past the initial look, I caught a shark.
Well, I think I was feeling very alone and independent at that time on the beach with children shark fishing. And I'll never forget, he was like, oh, it's cool, Mom. Don't worry. I know what to do. I looked it up on YouTube.
Right.
And I was like, oh, we are in so much trouble. I said, well, what did it say? He said, somebody gets on the back and straddles the shark and runs their hand down the snout of the shark and pulls it back. And then the other person takes the whatever tool and takes the hook out of their mouth. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And you're looking at the two of you thinking, which sounds worse?
Yeah, he was like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And he's about to turn 20.
Yeah.
He was not a huge fella. And I'm like, well, I certainly can't let my kid sit on the back of a shark.
No, you're going to let him put his hands in the shark's mouth?
Oh, God.
Well, long story short, they did catch a shark.
We did.
And
I sat on the back.
And they successfully let the shark back into Bald Head. Who knows how big that shark is?
Oh, my gosh. We should post a picture.
We should. Maybe we can get back and find it. But every time you go to Bald Head, you have some fun adventures and great time with God. And so you just got back from Bald Head. And so I can't wait to hear what we're going to chat about today.
Oh, it was beautiful. It is definitely my thin space. But I was in 2 Corinthians 7. It's like verses 8 through 12 in the Message, of course. And it's Paul, chatting away. He's always writing letters to those people, trying to straighten them out.
Yeah, he's
clarify
like the next door
things.
king.
Yeah, exactly. Telling people how to run their churches, their new churches. But I thought this was I had never noticed this before. It says, and this starts in verse 8. He said, I know I distressed you greatly with my letter. Although I felt awful at the time, I don't feel at all bad now that I see how it turned out. The letter upset you only for a while, but I'm glad. Not that you were upset, but that you were jarred into turning things around. You let the distress bring you to God, not drive you from Him. The result was all gain, no loss. Distress that drives us to God does that. It turns us around. It gets us back in the way of salvation. We'll never regret that kind of pain. And he goes on a little bit and talks about those who let distress drive them away from God and how they end up with regret. But then he says, and now, isn't it wonderful that all the ways in which this distress has goaded you closer to God, you're more alive, more concerned, more sensitive, more reverent, more human, more passionate, more responsible. Looked at from every angle, you've come out of this with purity of heart. And that is what I was hoping for in the first place when I wrote the letter.
Do you think he really did hope for that? Or do you think it was like, well, I could just finish now that it worked out like that?
I don't know. That's a good question. He might be like, now that I can see how it all turned out. But I started thinking like, and I can totally say yes to this. Like, do you ever regret speaking something difficult, some difficult truth or something to someone else? I mean, I do because, did they get mad at you? Did they quit talking to you? Stop being your friend? Like, we've all probably had some situation, even if it's not permanently quit talking to you, maybe for a short time. And I think we're always on these scales, like balancing truth. When to share it, when not to share it, and then how we receive it. Are we going to allow it to move us closer to God or farther away from God?
Right.
And so we're like teetering on that. But anyway, that's just another visual I had. But I started to kind of pick out a few statements that stood out to me. I thought we could.
Give it
Paul
to
said.
me. Give it to me. I do love Paul.
I know, me too. Well, he said, I felt awful after sharing my harsh letter, but I don't feel bad now that I know how it turned out. And I mean, isn't that how we are now? It just struck me. I'm like, yes, it is hard to do the right thing sometimes.
Yeah.
When we know we're supposed to, because we don't really know the end result. But like, he felt bad, but now he doesn't because he sees how it turned out. And sometimes we do get to see how it turns out. We do get to see the good stuff, but sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And what do we do with that? You know?
I will never forget when I worked at a church and I was called to sit down with one of the volunteers and deliver a hard message that I should never have had to deliver in my position.
Oh, wow.
But they had me deliver it. And the response was so wild.
That you received from the person that you were sharing it with?
To the point where security like came over just to kind of be nearby.
Wow.
And years later, I was able to go back to that person and like, hey, I probably didn't deliver that well. I don't even know how to deliver that. It probably wasn't my message to deliver.
Right. Not sure how I got stuck with that one.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like, we're great now, but that's kind of how that's probably the closest example I have of that. And I mean, it felt awful and it never felt better.
Yeah.
It still doesn't feel good. I feel like I was set up.
Yeah. Well, I think they were like, let's give it to Melissa. She'll take one for the team. I think back to that time, and we've mentioned it in past podcasts, but I ran into this woman who we were talking it was like a food checkout line somewhere, and she had recognized me from church or something. And she told me she was getting married, and I was talking to her about it, and she said, but he's not a Christian. I said, oh, well, then you shouldn't get married. And then I was like, dang it.
That came right out.
That just comes, and it's like, that's not my truth. I know that's God's truth. So it's like, I feel so certain about it. But then I felt bad. I'm like, because she was kind of taken aback.
I'm sure.
Of course. And I was like, well, and then I kind of have to soft pedal it. It's like, well, that's scripture. Like, that's just what God said, and it's to protect us and blah, blah. Anyway, so we moved on. Of course, I felt bad about it. Like, I woke up in the middle of the night about it. I'm like, probably didn't handle that right. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on, didn't see the lady. And then 3 years ago, you saw her at a conference. And she was looking for me.
Oh, my gosh.
And you said it was right after my dad had died. So I wasn't there. I was supposed to be, but I couldn't be. And she came up to you and she said, I just need you to tell Allison for me that she was right.
I remember this. You just gave me goosebumps.
Yes. And she said, I saw her in a line and she told me not to marry him, that that's not how God would have it. And she was right. And it's like, well, I wasn't right. God was right. But there aren't many. I felt like Paul.
And that was why for a long time that
Yeah.
circle back to you.
Yeah. Like yes. Yeah. Like over like a year and a half or 2 years. And then I got to see that and it was like, okay, now, like Paul, I don't feel so bad about that now. Now that I see how it turned out. And amazing how, who knows how it affected how she looks at scripture now. Hopefully in a new light, in a new way, and trust God's ways and laws.
And I love that she came back. And so what you're saying in the scripture, or what is in the scripture, is it brought her closer to God eventually.
Yes.
Right? Where it could have driven her in the other direction. Maybe it did drive her in the other direction for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then, when she starts to turn back to God, God like throws up that big sign. Do you remember this scripture from Allison or whatever? But I love that she came back. She didn't have to. She could have never seen you again, avoided you at all costs. But she sought you out and came to find me and said, where is Allison?
That just hit me when I was reading that. I was like, what are those times in my life? And I know there's more. That one's just such a in your face one that I've never forgotten it. And because I can be sometimes I feel like too quick to share truth.
I just think it comes out. Like some people, with Tourette's just like start like cussing or something. Or like me, like I'll just like, I'm going to throw a cuss word out first. But you throw out scripture first. That's very good. Very good. I'm proud of you.
Well, people sometimes receive it well and sometimes they don't. But,
well, hey, you're on the right side with that.
But I have to live. We have to live with that. Another thing that really caught my attention was, now I'm glad, not that you were upset, but that it caused you to turn things around. And, I started thinking, what is the intention of the truth that we're sharing with others? Is a great place to start. Is it to cause people to be upset? Because frankly, I know Paul didn't write that letter with the intention of, I'm going to make these people so mad, blah, blah, blah. He wrote it because he wanted to get their attention and turn them around. But what are our intentions? And hopefully we can always pause enough to respond to ourselves. Okay, it is because I want them to turn towards God. And I want to help, not to anger.
Right.
Even if it feels bad for us. And we have to be brave and share it.
Well, I'm being honest. I don't think that you intended to share anything that day. It just fell right out.
It did. It did. Like a wine bottle out of your trunk. That's been rolling around and you forgot.
You must have had a fun weekend. I'm just kidding. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Going back to my situation, like, obviously she and I are fine, but anyway. Weird.
You didn't have a choice.
You
were told to tell.
I was voluntold, girlfriend.
Right.
Have you ever been voluntold to do something? That does not feel good.
It does not always feel good. Sometimes God tells us.
I think he tells us everything.
Yeah, he does.
We're always like, are you sure about that? You need me to go say those words?
I'm pretty sure you got the wrong person.
And you'll be like, hey, but did you see Allison's really good with words? She's better than I am.
No.
And she's taller, so she can look him in the eye.
Do you know how many, it's a thing for me. Like, I often leave conversations and I walk away and I feel like Paul does. I think that's why it resonated with me.
Right.
Because sometimes, it's like, you should always tell the truth, but not all truth needs to be told or shared.
Ooh.
And, anyway. And so I battle with that.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, that's one of my little things.
Yeah, but I have no doubt that you're like, God, is this what I'm sharing today? Are you sure I'm going to say it? I'll say them.
I try most days. I think I fail sometimes, for sure.
I'm sure we all do.
Yeah.
I do know my dad. I'm going to go ahead and say who it is. He says, I can't wait to go tell them about themselves. That's probably not from God.
Yeah. That's when you know it's not.
I'm going to go tell them about themselves. Okay.
Okie dokie, Dad. Oh, gosh. So the next thing that stood out was distress that drives us back to God and turns us around from sin to salvation is the distress that we never regret. And I can say that that is true in retrospect for the distressful times in my life. I see patterns in them when I'm able to get out of the storm and I look back. They turn me to God. I lean in closer to Him, which is a good thing. And so I don't ever regret the distress. I can't say that in the storm.
I was going to say.
Honestly, all the time. This is in retrospect a lot.
So I don't know if this is on the spot for you. Sorry. But you're saying retrospect, I can look back and say, okay, I'm thankful. What were you feeling in that storm so that give people encouragement and courage to keep going so they'll get to the retrospect?
I think depending on what the distress or the storm or whatever the chaos is, I can be angry at God. Mm-hmm. I can be like, okay, I know you always show up. It's usually at the last minute. And I'm telling you right now, God, this is the last minute. Like, I can get really angry. And I know he just giggles at me and wants to pat me on the shoulder. But, I think I get down.
Hopeless, probably.
Yeah, you're scared. You feel all the things. I mean, and then you keep turning it back up. You're exhausted.
Yeah.
Emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. You feel all the things, and that's okay because we're human. It's what we do with it, right? As long as we're trying to lean into God. And there are times when I'll sit down on the floor and literally pound my fist. I mean, like, oh, this is too hard. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively pound my fist like a little kid having a temper tantrum. But once, leaning into God and allowing the work, like when you come out and it's that, gosh, like those crazy storms, summer storms that you have when these torrential rains and there's thunder and lightning and hail. And then all of a sudden you walk outside and the sun is coming out and you're like, what is going on? And it feels like that. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you have to sit for a little while in the peace of that. And then you begin to see the benefits that have come out of that.
So what would be the opposing, like, if you're not going towards God, you're going away from God.
Yeah.
So what does that look like in your time of chaos and stress?
I mean, I think I'm always leaning towards.
Okay, I'll take over.
Maybe watching too much Netflix to numb my brain for a few hours to forget about things.
Yeah, or busyness, all the things we talk about.
Oh,
right?
yeah, back in the day. Woo, girl, I could
I'll
keep
busy
myself
my way out of it.
busy.
Yeah.
I'm just working.
And then, of course, there's the obvious ones like drinking or... maybe you are doing this new little gummy thing. I don't think it's new to everybody, but it's a little more rampant than we expected. Or maybe you find yourself blaming, right? And shopping. Yeah, so those are not leaning on God. That is just numbing.
Yeah.
And distracting.
And that's like what Paul's saying. You lean more towards sin than salvation.
Right.
And we all tend, we all get in those ruts.
Yes.
I definitely used to get in a lot more of those. I mean, now mine's more emotional. It feels like the struggle is emotional with God.
It's
like
not outward where
battling it
anybody
out.
can see it.
Right.
And I do think, like, if you are struggling and something really bad happens, you're going to probably spend less time hanging out with your Jesus friends.
Oh, that's a good.
Because they're going to give you a scripture and you're just going to smack them. And so you're like, well, I don't really want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to smack them. I'm just going to go hang out with these people. But also, that's not healthy. I mean, those people are probably great, but they're not going to lead you where you need to be going with this. And
if that's the case, I mean, I think we all have good intentions when it comes to people who are hurting.
100%.
I mean, for the people I know, I mean, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, like, we just want to help people when they're in pain or distress. But all we can do is just be present. And that never feels like enough. So we add words and we add scriptures and we add all these things. And so if someone's doing that, but you need your Jesus people, as you said, just say, look, I so love you and I appreciate everything. I just need you to sit with me and cry today. Yeah. I just need you to hug me. I don't want to talk. Tell people what you need. And if you're not sure, then say that too. Say, you know what? I'm really struggling right now. I don't know exactly what I need, but I know that I don't need to hear a scripture right now. It's okay to say that. I mean, I remember right after my dad died, and you get all these amazing cards.
Right.
And from people, and sometimes I would read them and I would be angry.
Yes.
I mean, Like, this is so dumb. Of course, I know, blah, blah, blah. I know all these things, but that is not helping, and I wasn't mad at the person. I was just working through all my things.
Right.
I saved all those cards and I read them.
A year later, and it mattered more?
2.5 years later.
Okay.
And I read them all again, and then I threw them away.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Man, that probably felt good to throw those away.
It was.
Are you giving me permission to throw cards away right now?
Totally.
Oh, I know what I'm doing with my long weekend.
If there's one that's really special, take a picture of it and create a file in your computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, I will go back to your friends that aren't necessarily Jesus friends. Sometimes it's good for them to see you struggle, and even struggle in your relationship with God.
Yeah.
As long as you are spending time with God, it might be good for them to watch you struggle.
Absolutely.
So don't run away from your, less Jesus friends, but just don't fall all the way to the, daily habits.
Keep your scales balanced.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I couldn't dig my way out of that one.
Yeah.
I had a lot of visuals going in my mind, but none of them were allowed to be out loud.
Keep your scales balanced, especially when you're in a tender spot. That's just self-preservation in a good way.
I just isolate.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I just hang out with Jesus. And I know that sounds so annoying. First of all, Melissa from 5 years ago would smack me right across the face right now.
Yes.
But I just want to sit by myself and hash it out. And I walk and I pull weeds and I just kind of fold into myself and not, but I also know I can't stay there.
Right.
And I had things on my calendar you're going to have to get up for this, and pull it together.
Right.
So.
Sitting in that moment. The last one I have was, those who let distress drive them away from God are full of regrets. And he actually says a deathbed of regrets. And I just thought we could ask ourselves, what regrets do we have? And can we can we just turn those over to Jesus today? There's no room for regrets when we have him.
Right.
That is not from God. And he just wants to gather you up in his love and his acceptance and wipe that slate clean and start moving forward. Mm-hmm. And if we can do that, we're all going to have regrets, but if we can, we should never let them hinder us and pull us backwards and keep us anchored into old ways. But we got to cut that rope.
Yeah.
So we can move forward. I hope you'll spend some time in 2 Corinthians 7, 8 through 12. It was so powerful. And then, I love a list. So before we go, I have to give you a reminder of this beautiful list and all the ways that we get closer to God and all the benefits of being there in his constant presence during these times of distress. You're more alive, free to live as God created you to be. You're more concerned, you're more sensitive, more reverent, more human, more passionate, more responsible, more pure of heart. So we could go on and we could talk about what purity of heart even is, but we do not have time today. So we'll save that for another one.
Let's do it.
Thanks for joining us this week on The Sinner and the Saint.